at the end of the day, this is still going to be about can you hold yourself in the space and can you trust those directions that are coming through? Because I know for me, it's just a big no now to even trying into community spaces and with people who are just that's just not what I'm looking for. You
Yeah.
know, and I'm not gonna do that till I know that's the line that I'm looking for, and I'm calling that in. I know there's a few parts of me, my past versions of myself who would venture out into different community spaces because I wanted to be in community and I didn't want to be alone. And just in realization that just wasn't the space for me. That was not where I was gonna thrive at. Hello.
Hey, hey.
So we haven't been on for a little bit.
No. Have we just missed last week or was it 2 weeks? I think it was just last week because we did with Jen.
Yeah, it was 2 weeks. Yeah, you're right. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, like, don't put me on the spot like that.
Like,
You're an edge.
that was our word for the day was bewildered, and I played that really nicely just a second ago. She's gone.
Oh, you might have to give me a second. One sec. Oh no, what's happening? Jesus, hit. I am bewildered now. I
Yeah,
really am bewildered.
total bewilderment. I'm talking to a
Let
ghost.
me swap lights because I told you the spirits were playing with me today. They're like, yeah, here. Okay, I hear you. There we go. I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. Just didn't disappear and actually. I'm back.
This is
That
what we
was
do on
a-
a day-to-day basis.
literally just disappeared into thin air.
Right.
Well, sorry about my rude disappearing act. I am back now. There's my magic trick. Ta-da!
Da-da-da. All right. Well, how you been?
How are you doing today? What's going on in the land of Z? I hear there's big changes, transformations.
There's
That's
yeah,
so
there's
cool.
all the things. I'm moving, got some trips coming up. So yeah, it's been a really quick like action point. As soon as it flipped into the horse, it was like, time to get it going.
Right, right. Let's talk a little bit about that because I think we struggle a little bit with dates, times, Gregorian calendar life. It's difficult. But how would you, let me find the right words for this question. How would you I'd say summarize this shift from the year of the snake into the year of the horse? Because I'm one of them that is it really just when you wake up the next day, everything's new change? It's energy, isn't it? And we've been tapping into that energy for the past couple of months. We've all been feeling it. We've all been channeling it. We've all been preparing our nervous systems, mind, body, and souls, ready to embody it. But I guess what does it look like now we're here? Now we're in the year of the horse. What does that look like for you? How does it feel?
Well, I think for me, I had to break that down because I didn't want to look at any outside perspective when it came to the horse. I usually go that way, but this time I was really like, I'm gonna have this relationship with it. I'm gonna call it in and see what it wants for my existence for this year. What is that gonna look
Yeah.
like? And mostly it just said, all the little parts and pieces you laid last year, and honestly, I said the last 3 years, so it did a cycle, is gonna have its action point, and it's gonna happen this year. Right. So I was like, sweet, because that's been a 3 years.
Right. And see, hilariously, I got the exact same message. If you check my TikTok, I posted a TikTok today, this morning, that said, POV when all your manifestations from the past 5 years are finally coming into fruition all at once. And I'm like, yes. So I totally, totally relate to that. I feel like the past 5 years have been, and you know what I dare to say for me, which is probably the same for you, but I feel like it's even been longer. I've been talking about this. For example, one of my biggest ones was my money block for so long. I feel like I started, reading cards at 17. I'm now 28. And then a year after doing cards, I did a I am manifestation course. So I've been into this stuff like you have for many years. And I've been aware of the secret, all the things, all the different forms of law of attraction, manifestation, creating your own reality, vision box, da, 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 looking at the layers of the onion, doing the mind, body, soul healing, nervous system reprogramming, inner child healing. And that's the thing, like I do totally agree with your message there on the 3 years. And also I just feel like expanding it in like all the work we've been doing since we've been either consciously aware or even not, like behind the scenes. And I feel like all that effort, all that conscious and unconscious energy that's being put towards shedding, peeling back the layers, figuring out who you are authentically, what your purpose is, what lights you up inside, all these old patterns, programs, codes, blocks, blah, blah, blah. That's now led us to a place where we are kind of bare. We're kind of just exposed out there. But in the real way, that's the most rawest form to be. And those that are brave right now, which I know 99.9% people that are watching this video are the most bravest souls, are standing in that vulnerability and that here I am, take it or leave it. But from that is when the magic happens. And I feel like that's the point. We've been doing all this work to be able to just stand in this frequency of our own frequency. And once we can embody that, which is not on love and light and manifestation, many times, it's not real. It's bullshit. And a lot of that is surface level. And I think if you go deep in that and realize the human is the ups, the downs, the cries, the tears, the laughter, the jealousy, the hurt, the pain, the anger, the grief, the joy, the gratitude, the whole spectrum. And once you learn to embody that and flow with that, release, activate, connect, communicate, I think that's where the magic is now starting to happen because we are taking on these skills that we have been learning and gaining and practicing and working with, and we are actually using them. We are taking action and we are making change. And from that is when we are able to receive.
Able to receive. Woo! Get it. I have to say
Right,
that this feels like this is like lifetimes for me and my soul entering into this year. I know that.
right, right.
For the last few weeks, I'm like, oh, thank God.
It's exciting. So feels so like I'm not usually hyper. Well, I am sometimes, but in this moment, I feel unable to contain excitement. I'm a bit like woo, woo, because
I know, for real.
this is not just small things, small layers, small changes. Yeah, on the surface, it might be. Yeah, it might be you choosing not to kick off over something you would have kicked off over last week. Great. But in reality, look at that deeper. Look at what that actually means: self-awareness, self-communication, expression, regulation, communication with others. Look at them skills that you're embodying in real time by making that alternative small choice. It's decades, years, lifetimes in the making of being able to shift through our ego, shift through the emotion, allow it to pass, to get clarity again, to make choices rather than acting in that emotion and living in that emotion. That's the thing. I see some people, not as much anymore, but I did see a lot of people and still sometimes. And I just think, and maybe this is wrong of me to say, but I'll say it, I'll own it, I'll own my judgment. Sometimes I think, are you ever going to get out of that ego cycle you're in? Of, you know, this is so bad. Everything's so bad. I'm always looking for the next worst thing that's happened to me and to define myself of that. And everybody else is such a problem. And it's like, how can you even communicate with that when it's just all in the ego, And I feel like that's what's taken us lifetimes because we spent a lot of time, me, myself, all of us, in that frequency and not being able to shift out of the smaller picture into the bigger picture. Heal it, feel it, release it. All the way around. Feel it, heal it, release it. Mm.
And in those layers, like an accordion, back and forth. Until now, our bodies, our nervous systems, and our souls are like, okay, we can do this, right? We've been working all the way up until this point, and again, this is still very unknown. Our systems are in a new platform, so we're like, I don't know what we're doing, but we're gonna do it. It just feels very directed at this point. Like we've got all the skill sets now to make the action points that we need to bring in what we want. And
Mm.
yeah, there's just excitement about it. I've been really excited about what's coming over the last few weeks. Like it's been very fast. It's been very on point. It's been very easy. Um,
Mm.
and also like the challenging parts are very much so there. It's just I feel more confident in my body and how the energy is moving us through to actually move through that. Right? My nervous
Right.
system's regulated.
100%. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off now.
Oh, you're good.
Nervous system more regulated. Yeah. I love that. And I feel that I was just getting a vision in as you were speaking exactly relating to that. It felt like this whole time we've been walking, hiking, grafting up to this bridge. And then you get all this excitement when you get to this bridge. You're like, oh my God, I made it. But then you still got to get over the bridge. And I feel like that's where we're at. We're at the bridge. We're on the bridge, but we kind of still got to get over the bridge. And we're just figuring out the footsteps, the path.
Yeah.
What does this look like? How is this laid out? Like we've made it. We're at the top, but we're just figuring out. Okay, there's that excitement. There's anticipation. There's the unknown. There's that tingly, that weird unknown feeling inside. And I feel like you said it perfectly. It's just figuring that out. What does that look like now? How does that feel in your nervous system? Because we're still going to be in that realm of, I want this. I know I do. I feel it. I'm embodying it. But also, I'm absolutely terrified. And this is so unknown to me. This is so uncontrollable and predictable. It's terrifying. I have to surrender everything. But on the other end of that is that reward, But it is a dance and it is a journey. And I guess the point is none of us do know the answers. Like Z said, we're just kind of navigating it as we go. And the
Oh,
biggest thing I fall back on is the trust in self, trust in everything leading up to this point, and trust
exactly.
that if it's all supported me up to this point, it's going to keep supporting me after this point.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally. I think that's a big piece to the embodiment and I'm gonna say this year for me is about embodiment, all those little parts and pieces that
Right. That was my word
now
for this year.
I get to walk them for real, like little babies across the bridge. I don't know what that
Yeah.
looks like, but it does really bring us into a deep piece of surrendering into like what that is. And for me to surrender, that is, oh, I'm trusting all those things that I've done were exactly what I need to do in alignment. I'm going to trust the blind that I feel like I'm walking into right now because I don't know. Okay, but I'm going to trust myself and trust myself that that I have it covered and that whoever else is out there in the universe and the universe itself is also going to support that process. It feels very supportive this year, for sure.
Yeah, very taken care of.
All right, guys, we took a little bit of break, so we're back.
Yeah, we had a technical malfunction over here, but we're all up and running again, ready to go.
Yeah, so I think we were just at trusting whatever process we're moving through right now currently.
Yeah, and I mean, I know we say that a lot. Sometimes I do feel like we say certain things a lot, but I guess there's like key nuggets in this process. And, you know, we've never ever gone through this before. We've never, as a species, as a human race, as a spiritual being, been through an ascension of the human race, the planet, the whole dimensional frequency. It's a bit hard, isn't it? Like when you actually think about it, it's a bit crazy. There's so much going on, so much coming out there. And I remember years ago wondering what it had looked like in this year, wondering what 2026 would look like, knowing what we knew in 2020, and
Right.
thinking, like, what would that be? What would that look like? Where we're going to be at. And in some ways, we're nowhere near where I thought we'd be at. But also, I didn't actually think everybody would know the depths of how bad them circles of people were and how bad it was to the children. I didn't think that that would become full on public knowledge. I thought some of it would come out, but I didn't think that it would be as detailed as what we're getting. So obviously, I'm very glad about that. But I think I can imagine that there's a struggle going on for people to comprehend that that's actually real. Like they might have heard it, a lot of us talking about it, but for them to now have to sit and face the reality that that did happen has happened. People experience this. They want credit. And
And just to pause for a second, you're on which topic?
oh, sorry, I'm trying to code word, so I'm not censored by YouTube. I realise my code word's not working that well. So let me express my code. So obviously we're receiving a lot of truth about the files, about information, about children, about all them things. Hopefully you understand my code, everybody now. I was trying to be discreet.
I understood you, but I was pretty sure nobody else did.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad I want that far off the map. But it's hard. I remember in 2020, 2021, I had literally TikTok accounts shut down. Our IP banned off TikTok on a certain phone. I had to get a new phone. It was insane. So I didn't even do anything. I didn't even say anything like compared to what was out there. It was quite mild. And, even that got censored so bad. So I do try and code word. So if you like Z does, if you ever don't understand, please just drop us a question and we'll explain. because it is difficult trying to communicate freely on platforms that like to censor information. But
Yeah,
it's all
yeah, for sure. Yeah, everything's coming to the surface. All the parts and
yeah,
pieces of trafficking, the children stuff, all of that. And for me, this is a huge relief for me, and even running through lifetimes because I was a part of all that.
right.
I was running through in those circles. That was a part of my experience this lifetime to move through it, and it's just like I'm so happy that it's that it's finally going to be moving its way through. It's on its way to doing that. So we're doing good.
Oh, the fact that we knew about it, the fact that everyone is now knowing about it, the fact it's on mainstream social media accounts, the fact that it's just now becoming public knowledge of these groups of people that are in control of the whole world, country, and nations are actually doing heinous things to children. It's mind blowing, and obviously we've all been through that, either experiences of it, awakenings of it, revelations of truth, and having to sit with that. Depending on where you're at on the experience, you've had your own connection to it. But now people that had no connection, people that had no knowledge, are having to be forced to look at it. And it's wild. It's wild to think that life is still going on. I see a lot of that on social media at the moment, that everything's just going back to normal. Everyone's just going to work. And I guess there's a part of me that does think that too, like, how are we all just carrying on? Like, we've all been waiting for years for this to come out.
Yep.
And so I guess it's a bit of frustration. There's a little bit of that, what the fuck, what's going on here, and
Right.
when is things going to actually shift? But relating back to what we are saying about the bridge, I feel like the fact that we are even having this conversation about this knowledge being public and waiting for people to actually act upon it means that we're at the top of the bridge. We're at the place where this
Exactly.
information is out there, that we're not crazy conspiracy theories anymore.
Right.
This shit, real fact,
There's
go look at
evidence.
it. And
Yep.
changes things, changes a lot of things. It gives far more validation to all the other things that we've all been talking about for a long time.
Absolutely.
And going back to the other aspect of it, the deep spiritual connection I've had for throughout my whole life, but really amped up between 2012 and 2022. There was a huge amplification of spiritual activity, past life activity, visions, mediumship and ET presence, like everywhere, all the time, guides, spirits, all of it. And it just became normal to me, as we were talking about before, Z. You just learn to live with it. It's just become like your day-to-day life. Just roll with it, flow with it. Obviously, a lot of us make it part of us career, as work life, so that it's
Yep.
that natural flow, because obviously it's there. Why would you not? Um, and then, as we spoke about before, it did shift a little bit into more internal work, into group work, hosting, connective experiences, and sometimes the protests, sometimes working online, like things just shifted a little bit to where we were relaying that message, how we were delivering this truth, I guess. And now, I don't know, it feels like things are kind of integrated. There's this deep knowing that what we're doing is on the right path, and all them layers to get to where we are now is on the right path and the right purpose, but also this reintroduction of this energy and this frequency of spirits, of this mystical, magical world. Like, for some people, maybe it never took that backseat, but I know for a lot of mediums I worked with and connective people in that spiritual realms, the shadow work took the forefront because we needed to be ready to do this,
What we're
you
doing
know?
right now. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just have to say there's so many parts and pieces and layers to this. Uh,
Yeah,
just
so many.
being able to come to the service. And I know from like an insider's perspective, since I was around that was really it had its intensive process. But coming through this side of it and going, I knew that I came specifically in that space to make sure that that came to the surface and that we didn't keep our blinders on. And I'm gonna just circle that a little bit because I feel like I popped this up in many videos where it's like we got to take our blinders off for a second and not go back to our jobs, our work, and watch this stuff come to the surface when there's obvious evidence and pretend it's not there because we can't at this
Can't
point.
do that now. No, we can't. It was easy to before everything shifted. It was easy to kind of subconsciously know. but like pretend everyone says we should go back to the 90s or the early 2000s. And people say like the pictures and the videos look different. If you actually like look, I know the cameras will be different, but there's almost like this yellow tinge, this like haze. And I think some of that is reminiscent, it's familiar, it's childhood, it's comfort. And it's like this that saying ignorance is bliss.
Yep.
It feels like that. It feels really beautiful, really like peaceful, you know, smooth sailing. Everything's like so easy and simple before technology, before the rush and the hustle and the life. But really, truly, this might be offensive to some people. It wasn't real because that haze, in my opinion, that we all saw, some of it were real, the emotions were real, but that perception of timeline was a haze of like Truman Show, vibes. It
Yep.
was literally keeping us all at a certain level of satisfaction and enough nibbles of the cheese. And that's the analogy I once said to my mum at 16 years old without knowing anything about anything. I once said to her, Mum, I feel like what they do is just give you little bits of the cheese so that you keep going for the block, but you'll never actually get the block if you go their way. Whereas if you went a different way, you could maybe have the whole block and more. And she looked at me like, the fuck are you on about? But in my brain, it made so much sense. Like I was just like, yeah, I get it. I get that, and it makes sense to me still now. Like that's what they did. They drip fed us a level of comfort and health and
Yep.
finances and support. Oh, well, we're looked after. Oh, well, we have the NHS. Oh, well, we have free this, free education, free that. Yeah, I bet we all do. Bet we do. I bet we do. Because what cost? At what cost? And that's the thing. I'm not dissing it. I'm not slating everybody. I'm not saying anything wrong. I'm saying actually deeply question why we had this free education, we had this free healthcare, we had all these free things. Again, I'm not saying they're wrong in a modern Western world at this current moment in time. We need certain parameters that run this world. I'm not saying we have to stop it all overnight, but if we
Right.
actually looked at this has only been a thing for like the past 200 years maximum, 120, whatever it is, Western medicine, Western education. It's not been the thing for the past how many years humanity has been here. And they was doing all right before then. I know there's been ups and downs in humanity, like there has been, but
Right.
they didn't just survive, they thrived in some civilizations, as we can see from the architecture. And I think it's a very fear-based parameter to live in. Well, it's good enough, so let's not change it. And that's where I feel like so many people were at for so long. This fear-based thing of, it's in relationships, it's in family thing. Oh, well, it's not that bad. It's not that toxic. It's not the worst thing. So let's just not rattle the boat a little bit because we
Gaslight
don't want to,
ourselves.
I'm the
Make
one that
it
gets
really
goes,
great.
shut up.
Exactly. Whereas if you look at the stuff that's coming out now, like that has been here for thousands and thousands of years, all of this junk that's now coming to the surface.
Yeah.
Like those cube covered glasses that we got, those rose colored glasses, they always say that they're gonna be coming off and we're gonna have to face it because there's no way that you can't at this point. We're
Yeah.
having to
Yeah.
walking through that. And those
Yeah.
of us who have been like lit up or awake, I think about this because even as a little kid, I was like, so why don't we make a different choice?
And
Like,
I'm here like, what is it? Are you all for real?
I
Is
know.
this
I was like, no, this is not the game that I want to play. I always said that like to my mom. I was like, look, all these people have to do to make a different choice. Why you all stay in the same circle like over and over again? And she was like, who are you? I'm like, oh, but I want to take a different path because it's not this one. Okay.
That's the thing. Like, I remember being told the concept of going to school. I actually quite liked school, not gonna lie. I enjoyed learning, loved to learn all the new things. I was like, "Oh, yeah, let's learn." But I didn't like the other things, but I like learning. And I remember being told you go to school and then you go get a job and then you work and you pay all these
Yeah.
bills and then
Yep.
you die. And I remember, the fuck? Sorry, what? No, and it must have been about 10. And I remember thinking, nah, that ain't for me, that I'm not doing that. I'm literally thinking, like, you all subscribe to this. You all
Yep.
think I'm not, like you say, our parents must have been like, what is going on with these children? Because what the heck, But truly, the fact that people all thought that was normal bewildered me. I was
Oh,
bewildered.
yeah, there it is
Bewildered.
again. Bewildered.
Like, what?
That is
Truly, truly. And yeah, I guess it was difficult. We lived in a world where we felt out of place, we felt wrong, we felt alone, disconnected, something wrong with us, had to mold to fit in, had to become someone else, had to lose our own identity, shove parts of us down so they didn't make a noise anymore, so that we could fit in and, all them things. And I'm trying to make different choices for my kids, and I'm constantly met with judgment and reflection and choices. And it's met with love, even from people that love me. Like, are you sure you don't want to send them to school? Like, what about the social and what about the integration? And I don't know, I think about it. I think about it. Like, my kids are very social. And part of me thinks, like, am I depriving them of something that children enjoy, like being together in this community vibes? And, we don't have this access right now in this current world. It's not the most accessible place to be like, oh, let's all homeschool together in this little village together. Like, it would be amazing. And yeah, maybe I could make that. And that's maybe part of my journey in the next couple of years. But at this current moment right now, it doesn't really exist. And not everybody's on that same vibe. So when you do meet people, then they often think the same thing as my parents thought. And I guess this one I'm trying to highlight is difficult sometimes being without the lack of ego words, but a little bit ahead of the game, sometimes frequency wise, and things that feel normal to you that like just should be normal in our world, and that's not an ego thing of like this should be not. I mean, like just caring for each other, supporting each other, being a village to each other, looking after each other in times and helping with children and educating the kids on real life important stuff and like all of us sharing our knowledge and wisdom with children in different ways a part of that village and it not all just being on one person and one people and things like that. Like, I think for me, that should just be normal. I don't understand why it's not. And being able to be with your children as they're growing up, them sorts of things, and not be raised in a place that's far away from you, like constantly every day for a certain amount of time in such a strict, maintained, ritualistic way. Like all these layers, that's just one example of things that to me that's not right. And that's not what I want to do. And that's not how I see my children's lives being, because I don't want the same trauma that we experienced going back on them. But then the question is, how do we do that in this current walking the bridge time? Because we are literally walking that bridge of
Oh, definitely.
knowing that that's not what we want to do, but not always having the accessible resources, connections, people, places to do the things that we would like to do.
Absolutely. And I think that's been a walking, at least plank for me for a very long time.
Yeah.
I'm like, so, like, where am I in this? Because all I really feel like, the community spaces that we're looking for now, things that we've been wanting to head into for a long time, like, I had that all mapped out when I was very young. I was like, okay. And it just barely in my body came into that of going, it's okay. I am ahead of the time. It doesn't mean anything. There's no hierarchy in it or ego in it. It's just
Yeah.
like I know who I am. I know what my soul's here to do, and it's knowing that and knowing that I want to call that in, knowing that it's not quite there yet, which gets
Which is
ooh,
the frustrating part. It
ooh,
is, let's be real, it is
like,
frustrating.
let's
It
just
does
call
get
that shit
annoying.
out.
Yeah, let's just be real, because we like to be real over here. Like, it's really annoying. And,
Oh yeah.
it's lonely. And it's just like, I see it improving so much more. Like, we have a little forest school we go to, and it's really cute and stuff, but it's just lacking that community sense. Like, there's everyone goes, and it's lovely, everyone's really nice, but I don't know, I just see so much anxiety in everybody, including me, because that's the vibe and everyone's on that vibe. So I'm a bit like on that vibe too. You know what I mean? What's going on here? It's just everyone's figuring it out, I guess. And I get that. I'm figuring it out too.
Totally.
No one really knows what we are, what we're doing, what it looks like, how to be, what the right thing is. And I guess that's the point. Maybe there is no right and wrong way. And I guess because we've always been taught that there is a right way and there is a wrong way, that we're all unlearning that at the moment. And we're already implementing that a lot of this new generation with their children of like, not telling, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that. And I'm not saying don't have boundaries, but okay, explaining and communicating and giving them choice, which brings us back to the original point of the video. And the point
Yeah.
we made as children is choice. There's
Choice.
always choice. There's always
Choice.
an alternative choice. And even if that's me saying about this school and this and that, there's always a choice. And even if that's me making one, fine. That's a choice you might have to make, and I guess it's being open to knowing that sometimes we might feel like we don't have a choice, even at the most scariest times. I remember that so much in 2020 when this thing were coming out, people's jobs, people's lives, people's work, people's houses, people's relationships, and people, I don't have a choice, I don't have a choice. It kind of used to, and I'd be like, I understand, I hear it, I empathize, I feel it, I deeply feel it, but it's not true. You do have a choice. You
Yeah,
always have a choice. You're
totally.
always, 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 unless you're being like pinned down, literally held down prisoner, you have a choice, and I guess sometimes it's remembering that we don't often get taught that we do have a choice wherever that's a relationship, a job, financial situation,
Absolutely.
anything on earth. It might be the most terrifying thing, but I tell you, if you feel like it's the right thing to do, truly, trust that it is, make that choice, and the universe will provide. I feel it and I know it, and I do feel that's something I can guarantee that you surrender, you trust to that right thing and make that choice, the universe will have your back. Because I've experienced it, Z's experienced it, and so many people have experienced it. Universe, God, whatever you want to call it, higher self, doesn't really matter to me, but same thing.
Yahweh.
Y'all the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, I really, really appreciate that. I think coming back around to that at the end of the day, this is still going to be about can you hold yourself in the space and can you trust those directions that are coming through? Because I know for me, it's just a big no now to even trying into community spaces and with people who are just that's just not what I'm looking for. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not gonna do that till I know that's the line that I'm looking for, and I'm calling that in. I know there's a few parts of me, my past versions of myself who would venture out into different community spaces because I wanted to be in community and I didn't want to be alone, and just in realization that just wasn't the space for me. That was not where I was gonna thrive at. I
No,
want out of the
I think
box.
I was like, I seen this thing once. It was like this community in Portugal, and I was like, oh my God, I want to go there. Look how cool it is. Turns out later on, it was a really bad cult. And I was like, well, why the fuck did you do that? Thanks for
Yeah,
not taking my eyes. I was like,
I've
and
gone
this
through
is the thing, we
those.
look at things with this lenses of, oh my God, this looks amazing. This looks so good. But really, truly, there's some dark stuff going on there, and
Ones.
obviously my higher self protected me. I never ended up even it was just a fleeting thought. But the point is, the idea looked lovely, but it wasn't
Right,
right,
right, right.
and this is that thing about the concept is there, but you ain't doing that shit in real life. And like this is where we're at now. We're embodying it, as we know. This year is embodiment. It's integration. It's holding that frequency in. And like you say, I guess for so long, I kept looking for my soul family. And that word kind of makes me cringe now because I used it so much in the wrong way. It's like, I was looking for these people that was
Yep.
like, oh my God, you're my soul family. And don't get me wrong, felt connections with these people, great connections. But nah, that was not soul family. And I guess, I learned that along the way. Many heartbreaks and betrayals later, from people that I did think were family and like that were going to be in my inner circle forever. And actually, hilariously, finding this soul family, whatever you want to call it, over the years has just come naturally. Like I have not done anything. I did not look for them. I did not do anything. And a lot of them were already here. Some of them, they're just like transformed into the right frequencies, and I transformed into my authentic frequency would be the better word. And then it matches better. Then it aligns, And I guess that's the point. If you are looking for your people, desperately search. Maybe hang fire a little bit. Maybe look inside, hone into that. Who are you? What lights you up inside? What makes you sparky, electric, excited? And figure it out that a little bit more. And usually from figuring out that, they just kind of show up. Like, people just kind of show up. Look at me in museums.
Yeah, yeah, no, for real. They just show up and also it drop expectations because it's gonna be who you least expect it to every time.
Literally, like this is what gets me. Like I say this every time when I first planted the spiritual soul center seed years ago. Did I ever think who'd be running my retreats would be my own mum, my brother, my friends, people that are in no way spiritually trained, but yet the most spiritually activated little souls, you know, like they've got the vibe, they've got the adjustability, they've got the frequency, and they're not set in this rigid ego energy. And obviously they're not running spiritual facilitation, they're running the logistical,
Sure.
dynamical flow in the background, which allows the retreats to even run,
And
which,
all those roles are, yep, all those
it's the
roles are
backstage to the theatre. Without the backstage to the theatre, there is no theatre. You know, it is exactly the same thing. You need every part of the team. Is it the right one? But yeah, I would have never, ever, ever have thought when I started this 10 years ago in my brain, the vision, that when it came into fruition, that these people would be who was already here. Some of them came along the way. One of them a school friend that I went to school with back in the day, you know. It's all just aligned the right people, the right frequency, the
right.
right
Yep.
souls, you
Yep.
know. Just works how it should. And sometimes we got to take the blinkers off looking, and our looking is sometimes the issue because we're looking in the wrong places for the wrong things in the wrong people.
I think if you say the word looking is gonna get you in that trap. That's
Trusting is where we need to do. We need to settle into trust.
Oh yeah, yeah. And for me now, that's just I have very few deep connections, but I mean I don't need anything else right now. I know it'll open up more and more as we move
Mm.
through this, but right now I'm like I got my deep connections and that's just where that's gonna be.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's 100% true. And I love that because there is no, it's not, oh, this is the only people I'm going to have. And this is, oh,
Oh,
like I'm looking for more. It's just acceptance. And for me too, like I came to this acceptance that there is no set time limit on anything and anyone and anything. You know, it's all, and that's why I guess I have so much gratitude sometimes in the moment because I look around and I think, wow, this moment's really beautiful. The people here, the energy right now, it just feels really something that I need to document in my mind as such a beautiful experience because who knows, you know, life is so fragile and also people change, people shift frequencies and things shift and change and move apart and, you
yep.
know, people move away, you know, and it just changes over time. You don't even realize it has, but it does. And so I guess the real little thing for me is I started settling into the gratitude in that moment and just taking it in, just like a little mental picture
Oh yeah, for sure.
of that experience, you know, and communicating with it myself that this is really beautiful right now and it maybe it's sad in your mind because you always go to the like, oh well it's not gonna last forever and what if this and what if that and then I kind of just have to slow it down and be like, but it is right now and it is
Yeah,
really beautiful, you
yeah.
know.
Yep, yep. I love that. I appreciate that.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't throw labels or anything out there for like soul family or anything like that. I don't like any of those. I don't like words in general a lot of times. They're way too complicated.
No, I know.
There's not really enough
I've
words for me
realized that with you,
where I'm
Z, you're
at.
not very a human word person. I just like to send you the vibe. There you go.
I'll be like, I get that so much easier.
I love that. We're on the right frequency. No, it is truly that, but again, that's the bridge, the shift, the change, you know. We know I have some friends and it made me laugh because we're all navigating like joining friendship connections because we're all going to be running the retreat together. And one of my friends is like, "Can you just explain to the other one like what I'm actually like?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine." Because you know, there's certain energies that I know that she's got, and I'm like, just leave it. Don't do all. You don't need to fix it. You don't just she just gets in her own little energies sometimes and she needs to figure that out on herself. And if you give her the space and the energy and time, she'll do it. She'll communicate with you. All good. But sometimes you just got to be communicating this and being clear. And I think that that's kind of one of the last final points today that we want to bring in and really hone home is we are being asked to speak. Our throat chakras are being deeply activated in ways that you know, we don't even know because we haven't been here before. And it's the vulnerability, it's the trust, it's the asking for what we need, the voicing our boundaries, the clear communication of what we can and can't handle, what we do and don't want, what we feel in that moment, you know, the fears, the emotions, the everything. And it's not being afraid that that's too much. It's going to be a problem. It's going to be a burden. It's going to be an issue, you know. They're the old patterns we need to get rid of. And if someone makes you feel like that, I'm sorry, you got to question the vibe either, because that's not the right vibe. You know, yeah, we can't be saying it. You know, we can't be at least showing our vulnerability to them people because it's just going to do more damage. So yeah, communication is just the last thing I wanted to
Yep.
kind of drop in that we are being asked to do right now a lot. So if you are being asked to sit with yourself, to journal, to talk, to communicate with your inner child, to communicate with the previous versions of you, past life versions of you, to communicate with your partners, your friends, your family, your parents, your siblings, your boss, whoever. Be strong, be brave, and be honest, and do it from a place of authentic love.
Exactly. Your own
Mhm.
personal truth. Uh,
Mhm.
it's a really, really big piece, the communication piece right now. And I know for myself, it's been very direct. I know exactly when I need to speak up. I know how I want to move through that. Because over time, if we are going to be creating these spaces with each other, we are going to have to communicate. We're
Truly.
gonna we're gonna have to face the hard things in certain cases, right? And I'm not one to shy away from conflict, especially when it comes into communication. I did in the past, a way past version of myself. But now I'm like, I really would I prefer to lean in than not. So if it's uncomfortable, it's uncomfortable. I'd rather do it
Yeah.
than get distortion in there, or confusion, or
No, I agree. Totally agree. Sometimes I struggle initiating it. That is my fear of conflict a little bit, like fear of how they're going to respond, how they're going to receive it. Definitely have. I'm still working through that last pattern is the initiation, like how's the best way, what's the best time, what's the
totally.
best method, whatever. But then once, if it's brought up to me, I find it very comfortable, like not the most comfortable, but I find it very easy to just flow with that. Or if it's just naturally brought up in conversation, I find it very easy. But definitely my last thing I'm working with is initiation of that communication, whatever it might be, vulnerability, emotion, boundary, whatever. I do struggle a little bit with just setting the tone for it, bringing it up. But that's my own personal experiences that I've been through. So I'm just working through that. But there's no shame in, like, I'm just sharing that if anyone else is there, like, we're not saying this from being masters of communication. Listen, I'm still right there, we're figuring it out. Like, I'm right there. So I'm
And to
just
learn
letting
some
you all
lessons.
know. Yeah, literally. I'm just, on that learning journey myself. Communication has been one of my issues, big time, of like, vulnerability felt like a weakness and felt dangerous in my inner self. I didn't feel safe. Safety is a huge thing. And if you don't feel safe, you're not going to communicate honestly and openly. So that's a huge thing I've been working through for years. And my nervous system is only just slightly now getting used to maybe this is okay to do. So I'm still figuring that out for now. And that's okay too. And I'm accepting that and just working with where I'm at. And I just wanted to reflect that to anybody else that might be there as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I want to say to everybody else too, like take your time with this. This is something that it does take time. It takes lesson. It takes consistency with friends and family, and first and foremost yourself to continuously talk
Mhm.
to yourself every single day. What is your body doing? What does it want? Which direction do you want to take? And then, for me, it's always how do I want to show up in the space? How do I show up in the space? If I'm observing myself with other people, what does that look like to me? And how does my voice want to be used? Right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
because I've come from a lot of really deep spaces, and this voice was shut down for a long time, or I overextended it in many cases to help actually survivors. Tried
Yeah.
to help with people to survive, didn't work out in my favor. So, I've really had to be like, okay, where's my tone in this? Because I'm a very
Yeah.
direct.
Where's your flow? Yeah, I get
Yeah.
that. Oh, I feel that. I feel that. I'm very direct too. Sometimes a bit too direct,
I'm just
you know.
right. There we go. I'm like, boom.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, that
yeah,
was
yeah.
a little.
Not met with receptivity a lot though, is it? And that's where, we're all learning because a lot of that, yeah, have had that reflection before that I can be a little bit intimidating in communication or like a little bit, what would be the word? Just a bit reactive sometimes I used to be. Very the emotional charge behind my feelings sometimes was a little bit of a lot. So it would either be like, because of all the years of suppression, I would explode, or it would just maybe sometimes feel unjustified in that current moment because of the previous charged emotions around communication. So it is important that you do work through like them previous layers. And if you have had people in the past that have made it difficult to communicate, that's going to add on to your issues with communicating in the first place. None of us are perfect, but if you've had shut down, conflict, manipulation, narcissism, you're going to have struggled with just natural communication. So don't beat yourself up. Give yourself love wherever you're at on your journey. And the main thing I would say if you're working on that is communicate with self, because that's going to lead you to the most answers. Daily check ins, daily questions, journaling, just what's on your mind, different versions of self, asking them questions, get to know yourself, get to talk with yourself, and that's going to open up different layers of healing.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Well, this has been a beautiful session.
It's been really nice. It's been really all over the place, but it's been absolutely beautiful.
How we dance.
How
Ah.
we do, it's how we do. No, I
All
love
right,
it. Thank you, Z.
everybody. Yep, thank you so much. We love you so much. Take your time with it, and as always, choose your own perspective. This was about choice in here. You don't choose ours.
Yeah. Yeah, and just find your own choice of what's best for you. And you know what to do. Hit us up, follow us, ask us any questions. If you do have anything you want to know, do get in touch. Or any topics you want to bring to the table, just bring it up to us. Don't be afraid to get involved. Add your little piece in because we've all got something to say. Let's use us voices.
And we want to hear it. So we love you guys. Bye.